Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Real Football Talk. I'm here with Adil. Adil, how you doing?
Yeah, good.
Not a good evening for you, is it? Bad start. Bad thing.
No, it's a perfectly fine evening, man. Not everyone gets depressed when their team loses, Hassan. It's more to life.
There is bias, yeah. It brings a lot of joy, when your team wins. Let's start with the Manchester derby. I mean, what did you make of it? I mean, the first half, Ragnick kind of went back to his 4-2-2-2 with Pogba and Fernandes further up. Started the game really well, apart from the goal, obviously they conceded.
I don't think he really did go back to his 4-2-2-2. Everyone keeps saying it because, but I just think because of the personnel, it looked like that. Because they played ultimately they played two attacking midfielders up top, so they ended up making it look like they're playing the 4-2-2-2. But actually, it wasn't. It's the same system they've been playing last few weeks with basically, the 4-2-3-1. But Pogba and Fernandes was sharing the road basically. So and Pogba and Fernandes were trying to mark out the pass, mark Rodri out the game in the first half, and so they were sharing the role. So a lot of the times they were really close to each other because when one went to press, say like Laporte, then
Rodri really drops in there, doesn't he?
Yeah, Fernandes will drop in if Pogba goes to press, but then when it goes across to Stones, then Fernandes was going out to press Stones and Pogba was trying to drop in. So as the half wore on, it's just both of them picked up Rodri and then went out to close the defender on their side. So they were already, instead of ready to press the defender on their touch, they went to both of them picking up Rodri and then one going out depending which side the ball gets played. So it ended up looking more like a 4-2-2-2, but I think he was trying to play the same system as before, but it's that personnel ultimately.
Were you surprised the fact that obviously he had Rashford who could play up front, that he didn't start it?
No, I wasn't surprised because of Rashford's performances. And the thing is, Rashford has showed nothing as a striker or even as a 10. The only position he looks a threat in is when he plays on the left wing. And I knew, they're going to take the work rate of Elanga. Because the thing is, Elanga offers the pace that Rashford does.
Yeah.
Elanga has burnout pace, but the difference is with him, you're going to get work ethic, you're going to get tracking back, you're going to get better decision making, certainly when it comes to passing the ball and bringing others into the game. And then Sancho is obviously in form, and then I'm going to track. I wasn't surprised he wasn't there. I was surprised with the formation that Pogba was playing in, that basically 10-stroke strike role.
Yeah.
Both, 2 false 9 roles basically. That surprised me. I thought they were going to match in the midfield, and I mean, for everyone keep going on about the 4-2-2-2 system. A lot of the game, City done the exact same thing. City played 4-2-4 a lot of the times. If you look at the first few goals, it was 4-2-4. De Bruyne is playing up top. Do you get? So I think sometimes, and again for the same reasons, which is to split the two defensive midfielders, both Bernardo Silva and De Bruyne were pushing outside of the defensive midfielders into 10 positions. So if anything, slightly more aggressive because they're playing 4-1, 4-1.
I was gonna ask you about, like Bernardo Silva, Jack Grealish, and Foden. It seems like they kind of like targeted Wan-Bissaka. What did you make of that?
I don't think they targeted Wan-Bissaka specifically.
As in that
They
area.
targeted the left side because that's their strength. And yeah, the clever thing about it was, and the reason why I was in a way glad that Mahrez got his 2 goals in the second half was because he was so unselfish in his play. If you look at the amount of touches he got in that first half, it would have been hardly anything. But he was so unselfish in playing so out wide and positionally just being there. What happened was that's what was causing all the problems, because you've got effectively United went man for man, which was brave of them, and they're effectively saying our defenders are better than City's attackers, which they're not. Hence why every single time they were able to get half a yard, get crosses in, get on the ball, do quick combinations, because ultimately City's attackers are better than United's defenders. So by going man for man, that was very brave, and ultimately that's what cost them, because you got a system where everyone's going man for man, other than Fred, and Fred was the odd man out. If you look at the whole first half, if you look at all the goals conceded, the whole time he's got no one to pick up.
Why was that? Was he given a different role or something to, like, I don't know?
No, I think it's been a problem. We've mentioned it on the podcast before about Fred almost pressing the defenders, centre defenders, and kind of doing the pressing for Fernandes all the time. So what happened was McTominay was doing his job really well in picking up Bernardo Silva.
Yeah.
And Elanga was doing his job in picking up Cancelo. So then you go man for man across the rest. You go, Wan-Bissaka picking up Grealish. You go
Foden getting picked up by Lindelof.
Yeah, Lindelof, and then you go Maguire coming in. Ultimately as cover, because a lot of the times they're getting outnumbered on that side, so Lindelof is having to push on beyond the central position, more towards covering the right back. So then Maguire goes across completely, and then that gives Tellers the problem of who do I pick up, De Bruyne
or Mahrez,
or Mahrez, who's just staying out wide, so he's causing that headache. Now Fred is on that pitch, not picking up nobody, and that's the problem. When you're playing man for man, he has to do his job and pick up De Bruyne.
Yeah, then that goal doesn't.
But he's literally just standing in the middle of the pitch. You watch all the goals, the whole first half. He's more interested in pressing John Stones if Fernandes doesn't go. If Fernandes is too tired to press and it doesn't move off.
I mean, as a midfielder, that's you don't leave that position.
No, but they've been doing this the whole season, and the thing is, you're playing City. I'm sorry,
wrong team to do it.
Everybody knows if there's one player that you're gonna mark in that game, it's De Bruyne. He's their main player. He's their best player. There is no doubt when it comes to end product. He's the one. He's the assist man. He's the goals man. He's the playmaker.
But you saw how many times in that first half De Bruyne just broke through.
He's free.
Because he's free.
He's completely free. Why? Yeah. Because Fred is not picking up anybody. And he's not noticing anything that's going on behind him. You already know it's 3 against 2. So if you are thinking about pressing anyone of Rodri or the centre back, then you know ultimately you are completely leaving McTominay to pick up potentially 3 people. So then what happened was, because of that situation of Fred kind of being in no man's land, it became easier and easier for the defense to pierce the ball straight into Foden.
Yeah.
Or straight into Bernardo Silva, is because suddenly McTominay's got too many players to pick up. That
you can see with the goal,
and they're dropping in so deep that it's too risky for Lindelof to follow that far.
But even like for the goal, you can see Tellers kind of shouting at Fred to kind of drop in to either mark him or something. Like, there was that conversation happening, and by the time obviously he decided he's going to go close to De Bruyne, it's too late.
Yeah, but the thing is, and it's pretty harsh on Tellers. Like, at the end of the game, guys, complain about Tellers not going for the man.
Yeah, that's what they were saying.
But actually, if you look at the play and you look at it, the way Grealish goes outside of Lindelof, and again, it comes down to poor defensive positioning of Maguire. Maguire is so far, the gap between him and the 6-yard box and De Gea is so big that you can see a massive, easy pass in.
Across, yeah.
Yeah, so then obviously Tellers has noticed that, and so that keeps him honest. That keeps him thinking, well, if I go out, it's a complete open goal for Mahrez.
Oh yeah, tapping, yeah.
It's a complete tapping. So that's what makes him. And why is that? Because he's seen how easily Grealish has gone outside of Lindelof, and you have to give credit to Grealish there. The easy cross was to roll across the 6-yard box, because it was a gigantic. The gap was like a wave.
You mean Bernardo Silva? He's the one that crossed.
The Bernardo Silva crossed it.
Grealish was the one that first initially played it off to Bernardo, and then Bernardo crossed it.
So that space was so big. That was the easy ball to play, but he played the harder reverse pass deeper into De Bruyne. So I don't blame Tellers for thinking it's going to go across the 6-yard box and kind of holding his line slightly. I don't blame him for that.
This is what I was trying to say. He was trying to get
way before that.
He was trying to get Fred to come across to help him out, because he had two players. If you look at the video, he's clearly pointing.
But by then it's already too late.
Yes.
But the thing is, you're playing in a derby. This is playing the best team many consider in the world. Definitely the best team in England, the current champions, and you have a player on the pitch who's not picking up anyone the whole game, Fred. Sure. How can he think he can coast the game like that? And think that something's not right here? How can he go through the game not realizing something's not right here? I've not picked up anyone the whole game. So yeah, it's the same for the second goal. It's the same similar problem. When Bernardo Silva takes the shot and when Bissaka blocks it, Tellers, he doesn't need to clear it. It's going out for a corner. There's no need to panic and try and get your foot on that. You can let it go out. He panics, gets the ball up back. When you look at where De Bruyne picks up that ball, he runs past Lindelof and Fred. Again, who is Fred picking up? De Bruyne just walks past him into the box, takes a touch, hits it. And the thing is, you can't have that. What's the point of having two defensive midfielders when one ain't interested in defending anything behind him, or any runs, or any, all he wants to do is press in front of him, to the point where he'll rather press the centre back than worry about midfield. You're already 3 versus 2 in midfield. What makes you think you can leave it and make it 3 versus 1? There's something wrong. There's basic intelligence not there. And then obviously they got severely exposed in the second half, and everyone just thinks, City just stepped up the game. No, they didn't. They made adjustments, and what really changed the game was they freed Rodri. And he controlled the game the second half. He dictated it all. He was just picking off everyone, getting the ball into the danger man, and that's part of the reason why Mahrez was involved a lot more in the second half, and the play was a bit more slightly
Because he
spread
was
out
rotating
rather
that
than-
ball left and right, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and they couldn't control him. They weren't able to control Thingy because what City did was they pushed Cancelo further forward. So then that drove Elanga back more. That allowed Laporte to step up slightly more. And so then quite a few times, Rodri would either pick it up from centre back, or if they went to press on Laporte, because Laporte and Stones are now kind of quite spread apart.
Yeah.
It's splitting those two false nines. So then Rodri's getting more time to just dictate and pop it around. So it wasn't just that. And then the obvious second thing was the changes. Ultimately, Rashford and Lingard were more tired than the two players that came off when they came on. I mean, it's ridiculous. It was just unbelievable.
I was gonna say, what do you make of that?
Rashford sprinted the first 2 or 3 minutes closing down, and then wasn't interested. But Lingard's performance was a complete and utter joke. I mean, totally unacceptable. He was jogging like he was out of breath. You think he's having an asthma attack. He couldn't go off jog mode at any point. So then, Cancelo's just having a free reign. Lingard's meant to be fresh. He's got no energy. So
What do you make of the comments of like the commentators, etc., saying that obviously United kind of gave up?
Well, it's true they did. After the third goal, it was embarrassing. So they all went. They started to go man for man, just chasing shadows, and it's just a joke. It's like the whole team's opened up, and they just doing reactive pressing and kind of just feeling sorry for themselves. It's embarrassing, absolutely embarrassing performance.
I think there was a stat where it showed like 75, not 90, something 90 or something % possession to Man City in the like 15 minutes. But I'm like, wow, that's just crazy.
Yeah, well, not surprised. I mean, again, there's no leadership there. And what does that show? It really highlights how much the relationship between the players and the manager isn't strong enough, because as soon as they're losing, they go away from the game plan. They stop trusting. Like the second half, Fred was more interested in pressing Rodri. But again, if you are a two-man defensive midfield against the three,
you don't go press the deep one, don't it?
Yeah. If you're pressing the defensive midfielder, who in that game was meant to be picking up De Bruyne? Like somewhere in his mind, he must be wondering. You got McTominay having to always go with the other side because Cancelo and Grealish and Foden and Bernardo Silva, 4 players are just overloading that left-hand side. So he was effectively right side defensive midfield the whole game. So who is picking up Mahrez and who is picking up De Bruyne? It's just crazy, the tactics. And the thing is, that bit you can blame on the manager. Why play Fred? Unless that's your system, and if that's your plan, then it was always doomed to fail, because you're allowing the best player on the pitch to be completely free.
He didn't take him off. So I mean, surely he must have been thinking that he's doing okay or he's doing something.
Yeah, but but either way, that cost him the game. Really, it cost him control or having a better chance of controlling the game, because there was always an easy outball because of it. And you got Matic. I don't know if he was injured or what.
No, Matic was on the bench.
So it comes down to and you look at Matic was United's best player in the last game. So against Watford. So I don't understand the decisions, and I don't know. It seems like he's forever trying to keep the players happy and keep his certain players, but it doesn't make sense. Even like this whole Wan-Bissaka thing, I get it, he's better defensively, but guess what? Since he's come back into the team, we've been playing. We're dropping points again. Why? Because one good thing Dalot brought was he brought end product. He brought end product. He brought clinicalness up to when he attacked, composure playing the ball out from the back, and now it's going back to as soon as Van Bissaka wins the ball, you just know he's not going to find anyone. You know, even when he goes forward, he's going to give it away, or he's going to run to the wrong position. You know, so we've lost a bit of balance now because of that as well. So there are issues in every direction with United.
Do you think there's just a conflict between the manager and the players? The players want to do one thing, and the manager's obviously got his ideas, and they're just not buying into it anymore.
I don't think it's a conflict, because the first half you saw it, but it just shows how that trust ain't fully been earned yet, because they very quickly move away from the plan when they're losing or things aren't going well. And that just tells you either they haven't trusted the manager yet. He hasn't won their confidence enough yet that they're like, yeah, I believe in every single thing this manager says, so I'm going to do that. I don't think it's got to that stage, the relationship.
In terms of City, how big of a win is that? Because obviously against your rivals, especially pressure on from Liverpool.
Yeah, of course it is. It's a huge win. You know, Liverpool beat West Ham, and you know, and then obviously, you know, just the gap is 3 points. They got a decent, bit more of a better goal difference.
Yeah.
And you know, you're playing a derby against United, so yeah, it's a big result. Especially, you know, after, you know, dropping some points. So.
And do you, vice versa, do you reckon it will be damaging for United in terms of their top four race? How damaging?
I think the performance and the manner of the game, and obviously the question marks around Ronaldo and Cavani. You know, because you got him a few days before that, he said they're both training, they're both available, and then suddenly they're not. So
there's few reports saying he's got a hip injury. There's other reports saying that he apparently refused to play, which I very much doubt. Considering it's the Manchester derby, I doubt he'd ever want to miss that. So don't know what to make of it.
I don't think it's as simple as the way it's made out as well by Ragnick. Clearly, there is more to it than just a hip injury, because he couldn't give much detail, and he uncomfortably was saying, I don't know a lot of it in terms of, you know, how long he'll be out, what it is, and you know, so you can tell there's something going on. Either way, you know, the Cavani one is strange because, you know, they gave him extra time to chill in Uruguay, and he's managed to get injured in that time, and comes in a groin injury, and suddenly he's out for so many. But again, it's the culture of the club. I mean, it just seems like the players call so much of the shots, and that's partly Ragnick. I think he's that type where he tries to build a relationship with players. He tries to, you know, speak to them a lot, involve them a lot, especially the senior ones. And at the end of the day, you know, those players are taking the club for a ride.
Give them a name.
They're having too much of a say.
Yeah. Let's move on to the other top four contenders and the title contenders. Liverpool 1-0 win against West Ham. What do you make of them? I mean, West Ham had a really good chance with Lanzini towards the end as well.
Well, Fornal's chance was even better.
Oh yeah,
in my opinion. You know, then there's a couple of decent efforts from Antonio. Bowen had a decent chance. When you look back at the game, for as good as Liverpool played, West Ham created the clear-cut chances.
Yeah.
And when West Ham were able to beat the press and keep the ball and play with a bit of composure, which they tried doing, I thought both teams played well. They were really able to cut Liverpool open, and it's that high line that really, again, is causing them problems. But they were very fortunate in the sense that
it was a really good battle between Konate and Antonio. I liked watching that. Both parts.
Yeah, and I felt Antonio really held his own, especially first half. turned in the first one where he just skinned Konate
Team
and took a
Konate,
shot.
yeah.
Wow. But yeah, it was a good battle. It was a good game. It was a really enjoyable game. I thought, there were moments where Liverpool just played scintillating stuff without being able to really create clear-cut chances. So excellent game, and again, when you look at the hard facts of it, we keep saying about how clinical the top two teams are, especially how clinical Liverpool are.
Yeah.
They scored from what I consider a half chance. Mane made something.
Mane makes out of that. Yeah. Definitely.
By just being ready and proactive, and he made something out of nothing, and they scored a goal. Before that, Salah had a clear-cut chance, and then the rest were like pressure, but it wasn't clear-cut chance the way West Ham were able to do. I mean, Lanzini. Those chances were
but Lanzini's one, he done everything. He slowed the whole game. You're like, you know what? This guy's
he's even beaten the keeper.
Yeah, but and then he lost it. Yeah. He looked like the most composed guy in the whole stadium. And then when he took it, he was just completely opposite.
So yeah, but again, there's a lot to be taken from that game. If you're West Ham, you're going to take a lot of positives from that game. That last 10 minutes, you're the team pushing for the equalizer. Yeah. That last 10 minutes, it wasn't Liverpool looking to extend it. It was West Ham causing problems, getting balls in the attacking, trying to take the game. Truthing, it was they were making the more positive changes and putting extra men forward. So definitely, that's a positive. That's something they can take away from it. You look at, in contrast, United's game. What are they going to take from that second half?
Yeah.
So
I mean, even though they lost, even done it without Declan Rice as well.
Yeah. So even though they lost, I think, I think they have a lot of. They should get a lot of confidence that they're competing with these big boys. They're causing problems. They're having opportunities, and if they have better strikers, more clinical players, they could have easily gone away with the points, or at least got something out of it, just based on the quality of the chances they created.
What do you make of the substitution of Salah? Do you think Klopp is doing a kind of tactical one? With obviously he took off Mane last week, and now Salah is really trying to rotate that.
Yeah, I think in the cup final he took Mane off. Mane, threw a tantrum, was upset. Now he's taking Salah off. Salah didn't play that well, to say the truth. He looked, and in the second half, on a few occasions, there were, better options, and he's snatching and taking shots. He wasn't his composed usual self. I definitely think, it's trying to keep the squad happy. And I was surprised how long it took him to get Jota onto the pitch. The game just seemed like it needed Jota, but it just shows how well Luis Diaz is playing. That he's not the one that they want to, and Luis Diaz is playing really good.
He had a great run,
that shot. Yeah, it just looks real quality, doesn't he?
Right, let's move on. Watford versus Arsenal, 3-2. Got quite tight at the end. What do you make of it?
Yeah, deserved win for Arsenal. A couple of really fantastic goals. Obviously, Hernandez's one was absolutely special. But then you look at Arsenal's goals in terms of a team perspective, they completely bamboozled the Watford defense, and just some quick one-touch football. So all three goals from Arsenal I thought were classy, clinical, one-touch football. Completely sliced the Watford open, and it was a good game, good performance.
Seems like that real Odegaard playing on that right hand side is kind of working a bit more now, where he drops a bit more inside as well. And you see how much of a difference it makes when he drops into those holes, because obviously he created that one for.
Well, when he gets on the ball, you'd think he would make a difference. So yeah, there's games where you don't notice him much, and then there's games where he gets on the ball and then you realize he's a good player. At the end of the day, he's got technical ability, you can see a pass, can dictate things a bit. So definitely when he gets on the ball, he looks good. I thought Watford, 4-4-2, it's quite easy for teams to play around and get space and get positioning and play between the lines. So I think it's just the perfect game for Odegaard to dictate. Ultimately, it feels free a lot of the time.
But Watford did look good. They had real good few chances in the first half.
Yeah, they came out well. They really pushed up pace. They tried getting that good. Unlucky with the disallowed goal, only just offside from Dennis. And yeah, Watford gave as good as they got in the first half. Second half, I think Arsenal really controlled it quite well. And and then time wasted their way to the victory once Watford scored. They literally killed the whole time with dropping to the floor, injuries, time wasting. It was just a critical and experienced professional performance.
Yeah.
Really good play. I mean, they're looking good. I think Saka's just looking unbelievably good at the moment. Yeah, exciting times for them.
All right, let's move on. Should we move on to Chelsea? 4-0 win. I mean, is it as comfortable as it sounds at the scoreline? Because I mean, that first half.
That first half, Burnley could have been 3-0 up easily. I mean, Burnley, some of the chances. I mean, that McNeil miss, one of the misses of the season. I mean, the open goal. The keeper just fumbles it straight to your feet, and you miss it, an open goal. But they had quite a few chances. So I thought, Burnley really attacked the space down Sal, the gap that Sal was leaving. And even though he's playing really good on the ball and really joining in the attack, he wasn't quite getting back in time. And Aaron Lennon was having a field day because he was kind of starting slightly inside of Sal and then peeling off down that side. So Burnley had a tactic and it was working, and it's quite good that the way there was quite a few times they managed to kind of isolate the space in behind the wing backs, both Reece James and Saul Niguez. So they definitely had a good plan. But then
what changed in the second half?
Second half was basically Chelsea started to pick up man for man, and then what happened was Saul Niguez was protecting the position a lot better, like playing more like a left back a lot more rather than just being out wide and leaving that gap.
Yeah.
And that gave them the template to kind of dominate. Obviously bringing in Kovacic and, also helps. So I just felt, they slowly, they just started the second half on fire.
I mean,
Reece James was free the whole time.
He turned at McNeil
yeah. Sliced him open.
McNeil thought he was in the dance floor at one stage.
yeah, but it was a great finish from and just Reece James, what a talent! I mean, just took it like a striker, really.
Great finish.
Very similar to Coutinho, isn't it? And a great finish, just looks like a class. And that was it. And the other thing that Chelsea changed was Pulisic. So the two tens, I can't remember the other one, they both started to play out wide.
More further.
So then what happened was they're doubling up. So if the left back picks up James, then Pulisic was going outside of him. If he picks up Pulisic, then James is outside of him, and they really targeted.
That's how they got that second goal as well for Havertz.
Yeah,
Isn't
they
it?
really
Pulisic goes
targeted
wide.
that left side. I think it's Charlie Taylor. I'm not sure if it's Charlie Taylor, Eric Peters, but they really targeted that right hand side and overloaded that right hand side because Chalobah was pushing up a lot. So yeah, basically they started to play a bit more front foot rather than letting Burnley play at their tempo and kind of get the balls in the pockets. But it was good to see the way Burnley were playing in that first half. They're actually playing the balls into the pockets and quick combination plays, and but absolutely got destroyed in the second half.
Well, I mean, Havertz, it seems like, all the talk's been about Lukaku, but he just comes in and doing his things.
The thing is, Havertz been actually playing the position well beforehand, before he got injured and before, and he was actually playing the position really well. Maybe not getting the goals, but in terms of playing it correctly, setting others up, and selfishly, it's getting a lot of chances where he's just unlucky or just missing, but he's getting in the right areas, and you can see, the adaptation into that role, he's fully understood how to play that strike role. So he gives them more because his link-up play, his ability to bring Pulisic and others into the game, is better. And so then what he does is just quicker football. He's got a lovely touch, and his movement, he's working the whole back line. He's spotting the gaps, and obviously with Lukaku, he pretty much stays central. So yeah, I think they look a lot more fluid with Havertz in the side leading it.
Let's move on, shall we? I mean, we kind of talked about Coutinho, so let's talk about Aston Villa. Thumped Southampton. Seemed very dominant performance.
Yeah, and Southampton just couldn't get to grips with the system that Aston Villa was playing. They're playing the 4-3-1-2. And they really struggled. They really struggled with picking up Coutinho, and the thing is, Matty Cash was bombing forward so much. Then so they're finding it really hard just to kind of find gaps and pick up, because the three midfield were cutting out the passes to Armstrong
and
so then it was really tough, and it's real quality goals.
Should have had more. I mean,
Watkins' first goal was really good, but it was intelligent. I mean, we saw it last game as well with Aston Villa. I mean, you could see how moving Watkins away from being the central striker is getting him to run in behind more now, getting him to face the opposition more, or to pop into the gaps more, because it's more Ings playing the hold up role and the 10 role and picking it up. So if you look at the first one, he picks it up, and the defender goes with him, turns it, flicks it into Watkins. You got to remember, before that's Watkins against two defenders all the time. So you can see how playing Ings as the main guy, and then Watkins stretching the plane behind a bit more has strengthened them. So it's added a bit more, and that's also creating the space for Coutinho to roam around, because Ings is dropping in and linking the play up well. So
he's got two guys he can pick out, isn't it? They're both quality.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's a real hard system for teams to figure out, because you have, especially when they push, because they're so aggressive with the midfield pushing forward. So there are at times Jacob Ramsey's like playing inside left. You got Digne outside of him. You got Coutinho sometimes roaming around on either side. So it's really hard to pick up who is the winger. Is it the fullback, or is it sometimes you got McGinn going out there instead of Matty Cash? So it's quite hard for them to pick up who it is. So that and that allows Coutinho the freedom just to find the spaces wherever he needs it.
In terms of Southampton, would they be disappointed? I mean, or is it just one of those their good purple patch just coming to an end?
I think that they've got to that stage where they'd be disappointed. I mean, especially the scoreline, 4-0 is emphatic,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think they should be disappointed that they couldn't find a solution to the game. But once Salisu was out, I kind of was worried because they're short of defenders, and
Yeah.
it's now that looks like he's found a formation, and Bundy is the odd man out. It's a tough formation for defenders. You've got to have your front line defender because there's players there on you all the time. They can't. Yeah, because with Coutinho moving about, you kind of create a 3-on-2 situation around the centre backs. So, yeah, definitely, tactically, Aston Villa had the setup, and Southampton never had the answer for it.
Let's move on. Newcastle 2-1. Brighton. Keep winning. Newcastle keep going.
Yeah, I mean they kind of got the first goal against the run of play. Brighton looked like the team more likely to score, and the quick break, good play. Unlucky for Murphy hitting the post.
I think they're right behind Brighton now, or even though it's 5 points. Look how much they've pushed up, 14th.
Yeah, and what is that? Three wins in a row, or 4 wins in a row? 3 wins. So that's all it is, isn't it? Once you get a run of results, it's quite easy. You can get away from the danger zone. But the most impressive thing is their work off the ball. I mean, again, second half, they were under the cosh. Brighton was struggling to create clear-cut chances, but this Newcastle team's crap, and they put their body on the line, and they tackle, and they defend. They defend really well now, and they know how to just grind out results. So, yeah, you have to give it to Newcastle. They weren't great, but they got the goals, and then they compete, and they know how to defend.
This is without two of their best strikers as well. They're still doing it. So
yeah, but they got a real spirit at the club right now.
Yeah,
everyone's putting in a shift. It's just unbelievable the difference a few signings can make.
Two different Newcastle team, isn't it? In terms of Brighton, I mean, what do you make of them? I mean, this is what's going to be, isn't it? Just kind of a couple of good games and then back to normal, and then.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one because they look like they took a step forward in the sense that even if they weren't getting the results or the standard, they are the draw specialists for last few years anyway. So you're not surprised that they draw a lot of games still. But there's a difference in the draws. Before some of those draws were they had more possession, they're slightly the better team, but without creating chances. And this year it's been they should have won. Yeah. They had a lot more better. So you can still see, even though in terms of results might not be as different as before, in terms of performance, they've taken a step up. And then suddenly it's like the last few games, they've not looked the same. And they've had quite a few injuries to their central midfield, and it looks like that's what's caused them the problems. And the big thing is, I know Dunk came back for this game, but they're playing Veltman in centre back, and he's never really been a good centre back. He's always preferred being a right back. So they're missing players like Mepu and others. So I think Basuma strangely wasn't brought on. Lallana's been out for the few games before that. So I think they're that team that once they get injuries, you do see a drop off in the quality.
And Jessima Marsh, first game, 1-0 loss. I mean, they should have won that game. the amount of chances they had, clear cut.
Yeah, bit of deja vu, really. Innit? I mean, without being so open, but the thing is that was a really good game. I thought the only threat
Did he
Leicester
change
had.
anything? Sorry, Adi.
Yeah, I mean, then the centre backs certainly weren't going man for man. They were playing the position. Didn't change personnel, but it's slightly more, 4-2-3-1, which was what Bielsa was kind of playing anyway. So on the ball, and the pace in which they're pressing and the pace in which they're attacking, you didn't notice much difference. It's very similar to what Bielsa is doing. Off the ball, just the two centre backs don't wander into, and follow the striker in. They kind of sweep slightly more. That was the only real difference. But they struggled to control Vardy and Barnes, and anything that Leicester did was only because of Barnes. I mean, Barnes had the better of Ayling the whole time. So even in the first half, the only threat was really Barnes and Vardy, but mainly Barnes. So
great finish from Barnes, though.
They'd be disappointed. I mean, great finish, great goal, good one to Iheanacho, but I think Leeds will be really disappointed because on balance of play, they should have been out of sight. And it just felt like, no matter how well they played, it felt like that belief was on this, like they've missed something, they're missing something. They didn't play with the conviction. Like, even when they had those chances, it just felt like there's a conviction missing. Like,
there was one.
Rafinha's chance.
Yeah, 3 yards.
And the way he just took it, it's not with conviction. It's just like, just get my foot on it and
get on target.
Or even one of the headers. It's like, the chances were really good chances they created, but it just felt like the players didn't have that edge needed to finish it off, that composure needed to finish it off. So they'd definitely be encouraged and disappointed at the same time.
In terms of other teams, Crystal Palace 2-0 away win at Wolves. I mean, Wolves seems to be going the exact opposite way.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised. I mean, it looks like the pressure of, potentially, getting into European places has got the better of them. And they haven't been playing as well defensively. Just individual errors have creeped in now. The first goal was so soft. I'm sure that Bruno Lage would be really upset with that. The way Zaha was able to get the cross in, the way Mateta was kind of able to, hustle his way through. The keeper didn't cover himself in glory either. Ultimately quite messy, really. And then Kilman, who's been struggling for quite a few games recently. I've seen him off the pace, really struggling, making mistakes, rash fouls, being caught on the wrong side, gave away a penalty. So, I mean, they controlled the game, Wolves did. But they struggled to create real clear-cut chances.
Well, there's been the problem for them the whole season, isn't
it? Yeah, but they did play well and kind of, Crystal Palace done them on the break, really, and got their goals. Just a solid performance from Crystal Palace. Good away performance.
Yeah, up to 10th now, Crystal Palace.
Yeah, I think they needed that. It looked like they could potentially get dragged into it. So, since the turn of the year, they haven't got many good results. I think that was important that they started to pick up points again.
Yeah, I mean they're what, on 33 points. So I think they're gonna be okay pretty much.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Norwich versus Brentford. I mean, is that done for Norwich, or it was done last week?
Well, we're gonna keep saying it every week, but also we're gonna keep repeating.
Because
it could have before the turn of the year that it's done. Because I said it was done the moment they got Smith as manager because I just knew.
Yeah. No,
You know,
this could have been
he's a good manager, but
could
they
have been
need
really big for them in the sense that
Christian.
if they beat Brentford, it brings Brentford right into play. But obviously now Brentford's got a 6 points gap.
And ultimately they did. I think the game was at home, wasn't it?
Home game. Lost 3-1.
So,
Tony's back, and all of a sudden, boom, Brentford's back.
yeah, but I felt the main thing about that game was Christian Eriksen.
Mm.
Dictating the game, his set pieces, his corners were a huge difference. And I'm not sure the first penalty was really a penalty. I mean, you know, and high foot was up, but I'm not sure if he really made any connection with the player's head. I felt that was harsh. Yeah, second one was clear cut, but first penalty I felt was a bit harsh. And yeah, Norwich started the game good. They started the game well, and yeah, the problem is, and being the Achilles heel the whole season, they can't defend. You know, they keep giving us soft goals.
Yeah.
So yes, it's a shame. It's a shame, but like we said, no matter how much these teams win, they're there for a reason already. Like, look, everyone got kind of on the bandwagon of Burnley, and I still stuck to my guns and saying, yeah, them three are going down. They're making it a bit interesting, a bit more of a challenge.
Burnley definitely are.
But like you see now, Newcastle has completely made a huge gap. Brentford has now given us. Everton's got games in hand. If they win a couple of them, they've not gone away from it. So there ain't really like you can't. Other than Leeds, there ain't really all the other teams that we're thinking it's a bit more of a thing. Other teams are getting dragged in. Well, Crystal Palace have just picked up a couple of wins and moved away. Draws and wins, and then you've got Newcastle moving away. You've got Brentford now moving away. It's just Leeds. Leeds is the only one. I mean, and if we look at their performance
today,
yeah. I mean, thing is, you can see if Jesse Marsh gets a couple of wins, Leeds will be rocking again.
Leeds will get their confidence.
Will get behind this manager because the football is very similar to Bielsa's. It was a really positive performance.
Another Ragnick prodigy.
Yeah, I tell you what, was it Pep Guardiola referenced? There's 5 of them in the league now. Well,
what is it? The Ragnick League, yeah?
Yeah, well, when you got Pep saying the Ragnick's German influence on the Premiership, and it says a lot. It's become a counter-pressing league.
Oh man, it's good though. It's very entertaining. Adil, thank you for today. For those of you watching, thank you very much for watching. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe, and see you soon.